Part 2. We didn't talk at first. But he smiled like someone who knew something you didn't like. He had seen too much pain to be impatient with the world. One afternoon, I found him behind the school hall sketching an abandoned bicycle. I was drawn to the silence of it all. That was how it started. We became friends. Not the kind that exchange emojis and compliments. The kind that talk about fears in the dark, that walk home without saying much, that find peace just being near each other. And slowly, the weight I had carried began to lift. It wasn't fireworks. It was warm water on a cold morning. It was understanding without effort. It was noticing how he always walked on the side of the road closer to traffic, how he wiped benches before I sat, how he asked about my dreams and meant it. One night, the rain fell for hours. NEPA had taken light, and the school compound was flooded. He came to my room, soaked, holding a lantern and some hot okpa. "I figured you wouldn't eat," he said. I didn't speak. I just looked at him, the kindness in his eyes, the steady calm he carried, and I knew. That was the night I let go of my fear and leaned into love. We never called it dating. There were no labels, just shared meals, shared silence, shared hearts. And then, NYSC ended. He was offered a fully funded art residency in Italy, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I got a publishing internship in Lagos, the career step I had dreamed about for years. We sat under the mango tree in the village square, the night before we were to part. He took my hand. "I can stay. If you ask me, I'll stay." And for a moment, I wanted to. I wanted to say, "Stay. Let's make this small life together." But I couldn't, because love, to me, wasn't sacrifice. It was letting the person you love become who they were meant to be. So, I said, "Go. Make art. Remember me when it rains." He nodded, his eyes filled with sadness and gratitude. We didn't kiss goodbye, we just held hands until dawn. And then we went our separate ways. I tried to move on. I dated again. Some men were kind, some weren't, but none were him. I published books. I spoke at conferences. I smiled for pictures. But every time it rained, I paused just for a moment and thought of him. Once, I saw a painting online. It was of a girl under a mango tree, holding a lantern in the dark. The caption read, "Enugu, 2019. Her name was N. I didn't cry. I smiled, because he remembered. 10 years later, I got an invitation to an art exhibition in Abuja. His name was listed. I went. My hands trembled as I entered the gallery. There were his works, beautiful, haunting, familiar. But he wasn't there. I asked the curator. She smiled gently. He passed away 3 months ago. Cancer. He worked till his last breath. She handed me an envelope. Inside, a letter. If you're reading this, then I never got the chance to say it. Nkiru, loving you changed my life. You gave me peace in a storm. Every painting I made had a bit of you in it. I didn't come back because I didn't want to dim your light. But I never forgot, not even for a second. Thank you for choosing me even when it meant letting go. Obiora." I held that letter to my chest and stood in front of the painting of the mango tree. And I wept, not from regret, but from the strange, aching joy of having been loved deeply, quietly, truthfully, even if only for a moment. Now, I live in Nsukka. I teach literature, and when it rains, I sit by my window with a cup of zobo and whisper his name. Love didn't last forever, but it was real, and sometimes, that's enough. Because some people come into your life not to stay, but to remind you that your heart can bloom again. Even after the storm.